Welcome back to the channel. Today we are installing a Banks iDash on Charlie's 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 AT4. This will also work on the 2024 and up Silverado as well. We're going to do it easily, quickly, cheaply. Join us. Good morning, happy Saturday. Welcome back to the channel. As mentioned in the intro, we're installing this Banks iDash onto the 2024 GMC Sierra 2500. So things you need, of course, is the iDash itself. We're also going to put a link to the 3D printed part that Charlie ordered off of eBay. It actually looks really good for being 3D printed, mainly because it's cheaper than everything else.
It's 50% of what Banks actually charges, and I think theirs is 3D printed.
Nice. So we'll show you how to install this and the tools you need. So tools you need something to remove the plastic panels on the dash. You'll need a socket, and I think it's a 3/8 socket with an extension. We'll need a certain, we'll need a certain socket size. We'll get to that in a second, and I'll put it up here. I also have a second 5/8 ratchet with a extender thing because we need a hex bit. Don't ignore the thing that says Torx. I got the wrong box to put the bolt on that he's holding, and really that's all you need. So let's get started on this install. So starting off, you need to remove the trim on that A pillar. So you're popping the covers off to get to the bolts. Very similar to the many trucks. I mean, Toyotas are like this, all American vehicles like there's two panels that hide the two bolts that hold on that grab handle. And he just tossed it between the chair and the center console. It's gone forever. All right, so it's a 10mm socket, obviously, shocking. And you take out the two bolts.
And don't break the windshield with the ratchet.
Wow, that wasn't torqued on at all. I figured that would have at least a little bit of a, maybe some blue Loctite or something tame, but geez.
Not much holds it on after that. So, it's like on the back you've got this one spider clip up here, and then the tab that goes down the dashboard, and I know the AT4, and I'm assuming the other premium models, this is fabric coated, but it's literally just fabric coated. This goes on like so, and it's done. So all we'll need to do is, which we didn't include in the parts related or required, is drill a little hole here for the cable to go through. So we'll take care of that. Drill it to the size of the connector of the cable itself, and go from there. Which is really just put the drill bit you have up against the cable. Is it a close size? You're good to go.
So over here on the bench, as you see, we're just matching up
3/8. Looks like it'll work just fine.
3/8 drill bit, and you can always wiggle it back and forth to waller it out a little bit to make, if you need to get a little bit extra on it. And you just take your connector and make sure that it fits through easily. Easily-ish, and if it doesn't,
just a little more.
plenty. Now back in the truck.
I need to remove the side panel here. The one thing about it, it's more difficult than it needs to be from what I've read, because it pops into the weather stripping. Let's see if I pop it out. Maybe it comes out that way.
Not as easy as the 2022 was. It's very soft, flexible plastic. Looks like it's designed to almost hinge into there.
And there's the OBDII port located right there
Right here.
in the bottom left.
The best way. Which way is the cable going to want to run? Looks like up through this way. Main cord for the airbag is here, so you got to be careful with that. Really don't want that to.
It's probably why they say unplug the battery.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're uncomfortable with this, unplug the battery.
Unplug both batteries.
So first, now that it's up, you weave it through the A-pillar A-pillar cover,
Yeah.
and then you can really go ahead and reinstall the.
Looks like this is gonna wedge down in, followed by this tab. So there's our clip, and you can see here. That's why I couldn't get it back in. These two pins have
Bent and twisted.
Yeah. I remember having this issue before where I was like, oh, this is a one-time use thing. Honestly, I think it's designed to be that way. Okay. Just gotta be careful with the airbag. Tuck it up there.
And then next, fasten the bolts back in. Just make sure no wires are getting pinched under them. That might have gotten moved around when you had the panel off. And of course, remember that there wasn't a whole lot of torque on those bolts when they were in there, so you don't got to put a whole bunch of torque on them when you put them back.
So something to mention about this pod is the one I ordered came with some foam, but I had my old gauge wrapped in tack tape, which is the fabric taping that they use on wiring harnesses, which I just left on, and I found that to be the perfect size to fit in there. Hold it snugly, doesn't rattle, won't pop out without you like twisting it out. So this is where the bolt that the person that made this file provided. So we'll get this screwed in.
It replaces the lower
It
bolt,
replaces the lower bolt because it has to be much longer to get through this pod.
which is good because that's the one you drop down under the seat. So.
Yep. So the actual Banks one from the manufacturer, this pod sits up higher and the screw goes through the inside, but like I was mentioning, that pod, which I'm pretty sure is 3D printed, from some reviews I've seen, they charge about $100. Now, Banks is awesome. I don't say don't support them, but as someone that 3D prints, I know this takes $3 in materials, if that, and a couple hours. So I was willing to support someone that's designed their own file, and you know, it also gets it lower than the Banks provided one. So
Remember, half ugga on this. You will snap it if you go crazy. I've done that before in a previous truck.
you either break that or you'll split the 3D print.
So then the covers go back on. I guess I should have stayed back there.
It's got a little tab, and this flips over a little clip,
Snaps right back in.
and it's in. So last step is the side panel. Just looking at it, looks like, so this has an edge here, and then nothing else has an edge on it except for these lips here. But it does go between the leather stripping here. You can even see it's cut wider so it does fit. What it wants
is for you to push the bottom in. Actually, this bottom panel pops out because it's American made and has tolerances. So what I noticed here is we've got 2 tabs on this panel. So you have to pull this out, which has 2 clips here. And
because they kind of interlock.
yeah, actually it looks like this panel here has all your spare fuses on it. You got quite a lot of spare fuses on this thing. Cool. So do that again. Easier to get it off. Pull this bottom corner out. This could be different on the Silverado. The interior is slightly different on the Silverado than the GMC. And pop this out after that. So it took what, half an hour?
You just got to clean up that cable
Yep.
by zip tying it or tucking it up underneath, and then plug it into the OBD2 port.
So only
Actually,
other
let me show
thing
the OBD2 port.
to call out with this for the 2024 is you have to run beta software on it. So I've already loaded that on the SD card. We'll put a link for it directly to the bank site. The 2024 has a different engine in it and is not fully supported on everything. If I was reading right, Regen does not work yet with this, but I'm just trying to monitor when it actually goes into Regen and gears and whatnot. So connected up to OBD2, it should turn on. It's at the very bottom. All right, so going into settings, the very bottom of the gauge layout is firmware update. And I've already loaded the firmware update, so this was on much older than that. Verify file.
And all you did was drop it on a blank FAT32 formatted memory card?
Yeah, they say it needs to be under 16 gigs. It will reboot once to twice to do this. So I just found a 8 gig SSD card laying around the house and copied or downloaded the zip and then copied the files over to it. 12411. So technically it should be working now. I'm not sure why it's reading boost PSI because the truck's off. I have to change engine build on it to be an LM2 if I remember correctly. I don't know where that is.
LM2.
LM2 2021. See if there's anything else that says it.
LM2.
That's it. 24 L5P. So this 24 engine code is an L5P. That's when we want to use. Switch device. It's going to now should read properly. So main reason to get this gauge is so you can see when the truck goes in the regen. GM does not tell you at all when it happens. So I'm seeing my particulate filters at 9%, which means that on my last trip back from West Virginia, I would have been in a regen. So that would have been why my gas mileage was lower.
It hits regen when it goes to 100%?
It regens when it goes into 100%, and that's where it'll kill the gas mileage to basically superheat the DPF diesel particulate filter, which is like a catalytic converter, and it'll burn out all the diesel soot and everything else from diesel fuel.
And GM won't tell you that it's in it, but it also won't let you turn it off.
Yes.
If it's in it, it'll
So
just stay on.
You'll see a lot of people online that are reporting that their trucks are going into reduced speed, or that they need to go into the dealer, or they have a DPF issue. And from a lot of people saying it's probably 1 or 2% of all these trucks that get sold. But it's also people that are driving these around the town, driving these through the city, the truck doesn't want to be turned off when it's in that cycle. So you can at least see when it's happening. Now, once this is fully working through banks with the proper firmware, you can trigger a regen, even if you're at like 50 or 60%, but you're going to be on the highway for an hour, just cruising up to West Virginia or something. You can go into the system and tell it to actually trigger a regen. So that's what's nice about this.
And that was a quick, simple, easy way to install a Banks iDash gauge on a 2024 GMC Silverado 2500 AT4. If you like this kind of content, we try and keep it simple, short, to the point, so you can install this quickly on your own truck. Definitely drop a thumbs up down below. That's how we know that this was helpful for you. So if it was helpful, drop the thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. If you have any questions for either of us, drop them in the comments below. We will see you next time. Peace.